little hard to follow. Thank you, Sandy. And thank you for being an inspiration to all of us here. I'm going to start with a poem by Hafiz. I'm guessing that most of you are familiar with it. In fact, I think I might have shared it here before, but it's good enough that we can hear it again. It's called Each Soul Completes Me. My beloved said, "My name is not complete without yours." And I thought, how could a human's worth ever be such? And God, knowing all our thoughts, and all our thoughts are just innocent steps on the path, then addressed my heart. God revealed a sublime truth to the world when he sang, "I am made whole by your life. Each soul completes me." So in this poem, Hafiz is talking about each of us completing God. But what does that actually mean? I'm not a poet scholar, but to me, I think it means that each soul not only completes the whole, but each soul completes every other soul. To me, this is true on the whole spectrum of existence, on every level. We often say we are soul searching or we're on a soul search, S-O-U-L. Sometimes for me, it feels like a soul search, S-O-L-E, alone, on my own. And my faith at times feels and probably looks like a hodgepodge mix of teachings. As an interfaith student and minister, I study a lot of different paths. And I have liked it that way for the most part. I'm never really settled on one way, and I'm constantly seeking. But in joining a community, something shifts. You make deeper connections. And one of the things that I love about unity is that I can continue that variety of seeking within the unity principles and still have those kinds of connections with people who are doing their own individual seeking as well. Each of you, each of us, has our own sets of values, our own beliefs, and we bring that together to make this a whole. And we're allowed, even encouraged, to ask questions, and it's okay to see things a little differently. In fact, it's beautiful. Because we are co-creating. Each of us is, in our own unique connection with the divine, co-creating our lives. And all of us together are united in co-creating within this community and within the world. I have this picture, and it's going to sound a little bit like what I talked about last time I was here, but that we are these systems upon systems upon systems. And so in any one organism, for instance, in the human body, there are many different systems at work: the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the lymphatic system, and all of these systems, and even down to the cells and even beyond that, within themselves create each different dynamic and each whole. And then each body, each person, each animal, each tree creates another system, is part of another system that creates a whole, and on and on and on. And this is what we have here in our community. This is where our humanity meets our divinity in all these levels, in all these interactions and interplays, beyond what is human and made up of our humanness. Each of you brings a special set of something that is uniquely distinct to you, something that without you, this community wouldn't be whole, wouldn't be complete. And this community is its own dynamic within the world, and there's something I think so exceptional about that. And it's because of the people within it. It's because of the human and the divine expression within it, the ways that we bring our faith together. I read an article this week in Lion's Roar. It's a Buddhist publication. The author said that the value of community is linked to our fundamental humanity. He didn't say it's linked to our divinity, but it's linked to our humanity. I like to contemplate ancestry, and not just our genetic individual lineage, but the kind of the whole of where we came from, whether that's the people or the circumstance, situation, things like that. So I think about what was happening here in Des Moines or in Iowa or in your family, in your circumstance when you chose to come to Unity. What was brought forward? What brought you forward? And what has you brought forward since then? If you sit back for a moment, I mean, literally, like, rest your back in the chair and take yourself to a place where you're carried back to where you came from before you walked through these doors. When you individually decided to come here, what was the momentum? If you're grateful to be here this morning, take a deep breath and say thank you to whatever that was. It very well may have been a difficulty in your life. It may have been something that brought you here seeking solace or comfort. Give thanks for that little push that made you walk through those doors that very first time. And then as you sit here, think about what keeps you here. I would guess that the broad, simple answers are the teaching and the community. But I think if we dig a little deeper beneath that, there's more to it. What is it about the people within those teachings? These people in this very room with you, or in the classes and activities and events throughout the week, because you're all doing this all together. And then those who created the teaching, the Fillmores, those who came before us here at Unity of Des Moines. The answer is likely a little different for each of you. To stay, there must be connection at several levels. From that same article in Lion's Roar, it's written, in the various Buddhist traditions, Sangha sometimes means primarily the community of nuns and monks walking the path. But more generally, it includes all those committed to waking up. So we could extend this view of practicing in community. Let us receive inspiration from the examples of basic goodness we encounter around us, from the people who are manifesting bravery and compassion in everyday life. Whether they are religiously affiliated or not, surely these are spiritual warriors, and our own commitment to cultivating fearlessness is strengthened by their shining examples. I often think of organizations or communities as enduring and endearing. And I think enduring sometimes gets associated only with suffering. But at its basic meaning, it is carrying on through smooth and difficult times. This is living as humans. Sandy just gave us a great example of that. We endure through it all. And when we come together, we're stronger to carry on. In a community like this, we endure through transitions and fluctuations. We're facing a little bit of that right now. And nearly anyone can endure time. But it's what happens in those moment-to-moments, those times when it seems like time is suspended, those experiences together when we make and strengthen our connections that carry us forward individually and collectively. A community doesn't endure simply to endure. We are also endearing. We are inspiring love and affection. My guess is that this might be, at the root of why we all stay. I will say that when I'm involved, this is what I feel. Inspiring love and connection. We've all created it together. And I'm going to point out a specific recent example of this for me, and I'd be willing to bet that you all have your own specific example of this too. I am participating in the Dare to Lead book study and discussion group that Reverend Cynthia is leading right now. And this is something that, had I studied on my own, say in my first couple of years in the seminary, I would have learned there's definitely good material in there. And I would have soul searched, certainly. But as I was doing the homework on Thursday afternoon for the class on Thursday night, I was challenged. This material is deep and raw, and it makes you face some things in yourself that aren't so easy to face. And I felt myself throughout the afternoon growing hesitant to go to the group that night. I was kind of protective of those feelings and those reactions that I was having. But I went, and in 1 hour's time with that group, my feelings shifted, they changed. Those things weren't easy to face, we were sharing. And for a time, it felt good. For a time, we took our masks off. We can experience all of what it is of being human together in community. The tough stuff, the not so pretty stuff. We aren't trying to escape it. We are helping each other become better through it. I was driving in the car a couple of weeks ago with Tim, my husband, and someone cut in front of us, and I had a really human moment. I probably even cursed. Who am I kidding? Of course I cursed. And then I said, wow, that wasn't a very Minister Melissa response to that, and it wasn't the soft, kind, forgiving Melissa that I wished I would have been in that moment. And as soon as I had that reaction, I felt shame, and I felt like a fraud. And I said as much to Tim, and he said, well, what's fake about that? He said, aren't you just as human when you're talking with someone or listening to someone or supporting someone, talking to a group as you were in that moment? There's not being more human and less human. There's nothing that's unreal or not true about that. I thought about it for a moment, and perhaps I probably am more present in those moments that I think I'm better. But my humanity is just as real in all of them. In our shared community, we get to explore it all. The full being of ourselves. And sharing in that group on Thursday nights has helped me kind of face those real places that sometimes I want to hide from, that I want to pretend aren't part of me. And we help each other find our divinity there, too. Not just in the good places or the good responses. We get the very best and the not so very best of each other in a community. And in these experiences, it's what feeds our hearts. It's what makes us, it meets you in that place where you say, this is why I came here, to this earth, in this body, at this time. This sharing of faith, whatever it looks like, it's just like why we showed up here in life this time around. You come here to love, companioning each other along the way. When I was young, I was a very scared child a lot of the time. And when I would feel anxious, my dad would let me lay my head on his chest and listen to his heartbeat. And it soothed me. And I think that's what we do coming together in love. We listen to each other's heartbeats and we soothe each other. We come here to serve. We are in action together, whether it's on a Sunday or during a class or at an event or an activity. We minister to each other. We come here specifically, I think, to this kind of teaching, to the unity principles to remember. To remember who we are at our very core, to remember the truth of our creation. We come to a community like this to be mirrored and to mirror, to see in each other's eyes and hearts and actions the real you and the whole you that's made complete by being here. The first community I ever really felt like I belonged to, I found in my 30s. We were living in Northern California at the time. We had recently moved there from Iowa. And I was looking for something. I didn't really had a foundation before that, but I was searching. And so I got the local newspaper and I was going to take some places for test drives. So I circled 5 or 6 or 7 different churches, different places of faith, and I was just going to every Sunday go to a different one and see if I found something that felt like it fit. And so the first Sunday I went and it felt pretty good. I was comfortable. I felt welcome. It felt good to be there. So I listened. I listened to the speakers and I listened to the music and I listened to the message. And one of the things the minister said that struck me was that this teaching takes you to the truth for yourself, for you in particular. If that means that you stay forever, terrific. If that means that you stay for a while and then you move on to what's next, wonderful. If that means that you walk out the door today and you go back to your Methodist church down the street or your Jewish synagogue, across town, perfect. That's what it's intended to do. And I breathed a sigh of relief because I had never heard that message before in churches that I'd been to, in places of worship. And it made me know that I wanted to keep coming back. There were many layers to why I felt connected there and why I stayed. But ultimately, looking back, I think that it had to do with creation. That I was beginning to understand creation in a new way for myself. That community was helping me create myself and who I wanted to be. And by being involved, I was helping to create that community as well. And that's what we do here together. And while creation can look like forming something new, I think creation is really remembering something old, something ancient, something timeless even within us. Amos Smith is a Christian mystic, and he says we are creator and creature. And I'm not sure if I've shared about the book The Way of Weird here before. Weird is W-Y-R-D, and it has several different meanings. But the one that fits here is an Old English meaning that means to become. And there's an excerpt from that book that the very first time I read it, it just blew me away, and I've continued to carry it with me over several years now. Weird is both constant change itself, and it is what creates change. Weird is not only infinite, it is infinity. It is consistent and constant, but constantly changing. Weird is created at every instant, so weird is the happening. If all of the universe is a giant web of fibers, shimmering with power, you may start at any point on the web and find that you are at the center. Weird is the all of it. We are the all of it. Creator and creature, human and divine, souls searching together, sharing faith. Each soul completing every other soul. The one in each of us is awakened by the one in all of us, and the one in all of us is awakened by the one in each of us. Our shared humanity meets our shared divinity in faith. I'd like you to get comfortable for just a really short meditation. Sit back and breathe deep. Close your eyes if you'd like. Feel your body. Feel your feet on the floor, your seat on the chair, your hands resting in your lap. Feel the air on your skin. Notice any other sensations. Feel your emotions. Anything that you might be carrying today. Take a deep breath into those. Feel your heart. Feel it beat, fast or slow, strong or faint. Imagine it expanding and growing throughout your chest. The beat of your heart fills your body, And maybe even your body feels like it's inside your heart. This beating, your heart beating with the beat of the universe, is touching the person sitting near you. It's touching everyone in the room. We're all breathing the same air. Our hearts are beating the same beat. We're sharing our faith together. Just sit in that silence of that truth for a moment. And when you're ready, open your eyes and look with love at your community. I hope you have a beautiful Sunday. Let's take an offering for Unity Center of Des Moines. Take your tithe or love offering in your hand as we state the affirmation of giving together.